To quote Napoleon Hill, he said, "Our imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known." Now, that's a big statement. Think about that. He also said that nothing was ever created by a human being that was not first created in the imagination. And that makes perfect sense if you think about it. Every single thing that you see around you, every single thing that you have in your possession, whether it's a button, curtains on your window, the television, everything that you see driving down the street, every building, every home, every strip mall or plaza, everything had to be a thought in someone's mind first. They had to see it in their mind's eye, in their imagination. And many of you have heard the phrase, thoughts become things. When I first heard that years ago, I didn't even know what that meant. Thoughts become things. What does that even mean? But when you think of it in the context that every single thing that you see in your experience had to be a thought in someone's mind first, then suddenly it makes sense. Another comment that Napoleon Hill made was that man's only limitation lies in his development and use of his imagination. And that's really what I would like to talk with you about today. Because once you really understand the power behind your own imagination, you really can use it to create your own reality. And what I want to talk about with regard to imagination and how it plays into creating our reality is the idea of asking and receiving. And many people have come to know that there are, I should say, many laws of the universe that can assist us in creating our reality. If we ask, we can receive. However, many have found there's a hiccup in the game. Like, I'm asking already. I'm asking. Why am I not getting what I'm asking for? Well, there's something missing in the puzzle. You might be wondering, well, what is that thing? So before we really get into this asking and receiving and what's missing, I want to talk a little bit about some of the laws of the universe that might help you in understanding what might be missing. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. There we go. So let's talk about some of these laws, shall we? We're only going to go through them very briefly because I really want to talk about how you can use your own imagination to create your own reality. In the first place, the genius Nikola Tesla said, "Everything is energy, and energy is everything." If you wish to understand the universe, think energy, frequency, and vibration. So that's the first thing to realize and remember, is that everything is energy. And when we say everything, we really do mean everything. So, I mentioned the curtains on your window. They're vibrating. They're energy. You and I are standing here or sitting here vibrating. And we're vibrating at a particular rate of frequency. So let's continue on. Even as we hear what Einstein said, move that out of the way. He said, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency with the reality that you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. And then he said, it can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. And so it gives us confidence to know that if we can match the frequency in our own vibration with whatever it is that we desire, we match that frequency, we cannot help get that reality. And we'll talk about, well, how do you do that? Maybe what does that even mean? We'll talk about that a little bit. But one other thing that is important to realize is that our brain waves have a vibration. Our thoughts can be measured. And I didn't always know that. I used to think that I'll just keep my thoughts to myself. My thoughts are just in my head. That never happens because our thoughts are always emitting energy, always emitting a frequency. So our thoughts have frequency, energy, and vibration. Our thoughts, what we think about, really does matter. And it matters a lot. So Einstein said, match the frequency with the reality that you want. And the reason is because energy attracts energy like itself. And maybe you've heard that expression, like attracts like. That's what it means. And to give you a quick example of what that looks like, and we've talked about this before, we're just going to go through it briefly so we can get into how it plays into our imagination, creating our reality. Okay? But here's the example. If you have a room full of tuning forks, like you see here, and you strike one of them, it's going to begin to hum, right, and vibrate. Well, if you only struck one, why would another one begin to hum and vibrate as well? That would be because it's on the same frequency as the one that you struck. All the rest of them would be dead silent if they're not on the same frequency. Energy attracts energy like itself, like attracts like. So let's talk about frequency for a moment too, okay? Let's say, for example, that you are in the mood to listen to some jazz. You want to kick back, maybe with a glass of wine, and listen to some jazz. And in our neck of the woods, the station on the radio for jazz was 107.3. If you're on 98.6, you're not getting it. And it doesn't matter how much you want it. You could really want to listen to jazz. You're so in the mood for it. But if you're not on the right frequency, you're not getting it. So what do you need to do? Change the channel. Change it to the frequency where it's being played. Because it's not that it's not being played. It's not that it's not available to you. It is. You just need to match the frequency so that you can receive it. And really, what we want in our life is like that. It's out there for us, and we can receive it. But we need to match the frequency with what it is that we want. Because we are kind of like transmission towers too. Remember, we're always vibrating. We're emanating energy constantly. Are we matching the frequency with what it is we want? Are we tuning our dial, so to speak, to whatever our vision is, our dream, our goal? Susan Taylor, who was the editor of Ebony magazine, said, thoughts have power. Thoughts are energy, and you can make your world or break it by your own thinking. For those of you who already know this, it's a good reminder, isn't it? It's like, oh yeah, that's right. If you've never heard it before, you're like, what? Could our thoughts really be that powerful? Well, they really are. Everything that comes to you by the power of your own thoughts. And one of the reasons why it's difficult in the beginning to grasp that truth is because we know that we wouldn't draw to us something that we don't want. And a lot of times we think things that come to us are from the outside. Not that I brought it on myself. But we are the only ones who create our own experience. We may not be able to control everything that happens, but we certainly can control our response to it, which will then create our experience around it. Oprah said, anything that you can imagine, you can create. So I want to talk about some of the other laws of the universe just briefly. Because once you understand that your own imagination and the power of your thoughts is part of these laws, then you know that it works for everyone. It applies to everyone, just like gravity. Okay, I thought I'd start there because, we didn't invent gravity. Man didn't invent gravity. They just discovered it. It was always there. It was always there. And it's there. It's not like we worry about it. It's not like we wonder if it's going to be here tomorrow. Is it going to remember me tomorrow? Am I going to wind up on the ceiling in the morning? This is not even a thought process, right? Why? Because it's law, pure and simple. So we just chill out and allow it to happen. What else are we going to do? What about planting seeds? Okay. Now, if you plant a seed, it could be a flower bed or a garden, a vegetable garden. Once you plant the seed and you're watering it, it's in the sunlight. While that seed is unfolding beneath the surface, outside of your view, it's unfolding, it's shooting down roots, it's pushing up through the soil. Well, what are you doing? You're just going about your life. You're just playing tennis, going out to dinner with friends, meeting with a client, playing with the kids, whatever, right? You're not agonizing over whether or not that seed is doing what it's supposed to do under the ground. You're not staring at it like, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. You're not going to be disappointed tomorrow when you don't see anything that you planted today. It's not a concern. Why? Because it's a law. You know what's happening under the ground. You know that it's on its way. So you just chill out and you let it do what it's going to do, even outside of your view. What about the sun coming up every morning? That's just another given, isn't it? I mean, even if it's a cloudy day, we know it's there. And we don't go to bed at night wondering if it's going to show up. We just know it's a law. So it's a universal law. We chill out and we allow it to take place. One more thing. This is the law of reaping and sowing. So if you, for example, plant potatoes, you know you're going to reap potatoes. You're not going to wonder if maybe a corn stalk will show up. We have confidence in that. Whatever it is that we're planting. I plant petunias, I'm going to get petunias, not roses. So if we're planting potatoes, we're not hoping that we get potatoes. We're not wondering if we're going to harvest potatoes or worry about maybe something else is going to show up. No. Why? Because it's a law. It's the universal law of reaping and sowing. So once again, we just chill out and allow it to happen. So what does that have to do with our asking and receiving? Okay, I'm going to come out of here for the moment. We'll come back to it. But I want to show you something. Okay, so if we're asking, how are you asking? Are you asking like you're wishing, just wishing it would come? Hope you can see this. Wishing or hoping maybe. Maybe you have some worry about it, doubt. Are you doubting that maybe you will or will not get what you want? Or fear even. Worry, doubt, and fear can play a part in how you're asking. There's a missing piece to the puzzle here with regard to receiving. What is it? Well, I think the first thing that might pop to your mind is believing. You have to ask, believe, and receive. We've heard this. So when it comes to asking, Let's not ask with doubting, just like you're planting the potatoes. You're not wondering if it's going to happen. You have confidence. I'm going to use a different one. I don't think you can see that very well. You have confidence. And positive expectancy. This is key because it puts you in that vibration of certainty. Remember when Einstein said, match the frequency with the reality that you want, and you must receive that reality? And we talked about matching the frequency. How do you do that? This is the difference. If you're asking with worry, doubt, and fear, that in itself is a frequency. And it does not match with the frequency of what it is that you want. In fact, if you continue to think about maybe what is instead of maybe something that you're in a situation that you're worried about and you're distressed over. And if you keep thinking about that, you're in this soup of distress. And you keep thinking about that. That is the vibration you're emanating. And what did we find out about the tuning forks? You're drawing to you more of the same. You're drawing to you more of the same. So it's important to change this frequency to one of confidence and believing, more than just believing, even knowing. Knowing. Just like we know that if we turn the channel to the right station, we're going to receive what we want. We know that if we plant potatoes, we're going to get potatoes. It's not a question. We know it. And so if we ask with a knowing, now we are raising our vibration, our frequency, and our energy to match with what we want. And because like attracts like, it's called attraction. And it is the law of attraction, the law of frequency, the law of energy, the law of vibration, and the law of attraction. And so there's one other thing that needs to happen that falls right in line with everything we've already said, and that is allowing. Just chill out and allow things to come to you. Allow what you ask for to show up for you. Because if you ask with believing and knowing, then you can chill out and allow it to come. So I want to share with you some of my stories, just a few, to illustrate that while sometimes action on our part is necessary, I mean, you had to plant the seed, right? So if you're sitting in the living room with a seed in your hand, you're not getting anything. But if you plant the seed, then you can just chill out and allow it to grow. Okay, and so many things by virtue of our imagination can come to fruition just that way. So let me share my screen again, and I'll show you what I mean. First time that I heard that your thoughts become things, and what you think about you bring about, like I said, first of all, I didn't even know what it meant. And then I thought, I don't know about that, who's smoking what? So, wait a minute, I'm not doing something right. Wait a minute. I want you to see this. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate.
Okay, you're back on the screen.
Can you see my screen?
I can see you.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll just have to tell you my stories. I was trying to share my screen because I have some pictures to share with you, but uh, evidently that's not working out. So let me just tell you a few of my stories, okay? So in the first place, like I said, I thought that all of this was a little bit of hoo-ha, and but I thought, well, do I know everything? What if there's something to this, and I just blow it off? So I decided to start with something small, and I imagined that at work, someone would bring me a cup of coffee. How little is that? Very little. But the reason why it was such a perfect test for me is because no one ever brought me coffee. I was the one always bringing coffee to everyone else. Just because I'm pouring my coffee and I'd say, "Would you like a cup? What do you want in your coffee?" It was just kind of my routine. So I thought this is perfect. So I went to work the next morning with the idea that someone's going to bring me coffee today. And I didn't do anything else other than just have the thought in my mind. Well, 9 o'clock came and went. 10 o'clock came and went. 10:30, nobody's bringing me coffee. But I thought, no, no, I'm going to get coffee from somebody at work today. So I wasn't giving up on it. Sure enough, what happened was I not only got coffee from someone at work, but it was the boss. And not only did he provide me with a cup of coffee, he bought me lunch. That was even more than I had, kind of envisioned. So I thought, wow, wait, maybe there's something to this. And I thought, nah, maybe that was just a coincidence. I wasn't convinced. Well, I was wanting a car, but I had always wanted a convertible. But I already had a car. So I wasn't like running out and getting a convertible. And so all I used to say to my kids was, I'm going to get a car, a convertible one of these days, kids. But every time I would say one of these days or someday, what I didn't know was that I was pushing it out into never, because there's no such day as someday. So I started envisioning a convertible in my parking space at work before I left the company because I had planned to leave. So every day I just kind of pictured that there would be a convertible there. Well, the long and the short of it is, before I left, there was a Mustang convertible sitting in my parking spot, just like that. Then there was another incident where I played the piano, and I moved to North Carolina without my piano because we left so quick. We thought, well, we'll get another one at some point, but we just didn't, and we were moving, and so it just didn't work out. So I started really missing having a piano, and also, if you don't use it, you exactly. So I started realizing that I was losing my ability to play, and it really made me sad. So many hours to learn these pieces. And so I didn't do anything but put a picture of a baby grand piano on my wall at work. And it just sat there every day. I just saw it every day. And without my really doing anything, I didn't search the internet for one. I didn't go piano shopping or anything like that. And what happened was I'm on my computer at home. I had a pop-up ad. That's when they were uh, common. And it was adopt a baby grand. I thought, oh, how cute, adopt a baby grand. So of course I clicked on it. And here were all these baby grands and someone describing them all. And it really affected me emotionally because I really did miss playing. And just for kicks and giggles, I went to downstairs to the guest bedroom and measured off to see if a baby grand would actually fit in that room. Not imagining for a moment that I would have a baby grand piano in that room, especially not imagining for a moment that 4 days later, a pristine baby grand would be delivered into my house and sit in that room. But that's what happened. After I got that, after I saw that on my computer, I got a call from a friend who said, Leanne, the insurance company won't give me the money for my piano. She had lost everything in a fire. I said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. We'd had these conversations back and forth about her struggles with the insurance company. So to me, this was just another one. I'm like, oh, great. Are you kidding me? I'm so sorry that's happening. And she said, what do I need with the piano? They're making me get a piano instead of giving me the money for my piano. And so then she says, I can't think of anyone I'd rather have a piano than you, Leanne. So why don't you just pick out something, but it can't be more than $5,000. What? What? Yeah. And guess where it came from? Adopt a Baby Grand. But the interesting thing about that is Adopt a Baby Grand was not a warehouse of pianos at all. They don't even keep pianos. What they do is they have people tell them what make, what model, what price range, what color, that of a piano that they want. And then they find that piano and deliver it to them. But it just so happened there was one piano that they had picked up earlier the day that I saw them online. And that was the one that I received. Anyway, it was pretty amazing. And the reason I'm sharing this with you, and that's just a couple of stories, there's a boatload of these, but the reason that I'm sharing them with you isn't just because of what happened for me, is so that you can know what can happen for you. And all I did was chill out. I didn't work toward it. I didn't, like I said, I didn't do anything. I just used my imagination. And I had the picture of that piano on my wall. And here it is sitting in my bedroom, right? Same thing with that particular car that I wanted. Oh my goodness, there's so many other things. There's a trip. There's my office. There's a lot. One lady that you may have heard of, her name is Marissa Peer. She was talking about vision boards, and that's a form of using your imagination. And she said that she had envisioned going in a hot air balloon over Egypt. That might seem so wild and crazy, so bizarre, so too much. And there were other things that she had on this vision board. And in about 10 months' time, all these things came to be. So in my different stories, sometimes I needed to do something to acquire what happened for me. Other times I just wanted it and imagined it, and it appeared for me. So use your own imagination to create your own reality and realize the power of your own thoughts. There's a couple other things that um, uh, Napoleon Hill said. One that he's most famous for is whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. He also said, cherish your visions and your dreams. They are the blueprints of your ultimate achievements. So if you